happy to hear about this initiative of having a young men's conference. We talk about young men a lot in society and always in negative ways. So to see you guys here this morning in this setting is really good. So I want to thank him again for that. We're going to just take a walk through based on the topic. Don't fear the future, shape it. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, my father gave me a gift. It was a book by V.S. Reed. Anybody knows who V.S. Reed is? Or was? So he was a Jamaican author. His books primarily talked about the black struggle and our fight for freedom. Anyway, so my father bought me this book. It's called 65. So I was about 8 or 9 years old. I love this book. I don't know if you could find it still, but if you can, maybe in the library, think about it. Try to remember the name. 65 and see if you can read it. So, just as a snapshot, it's based in Jamaica, and in Jamaica in 1865, they had a rebellion, right? So, we just celebrated Emancipation Day, August 1st, right? And so, the slaves were already freed, so to speak, but they were still being oppressed. And so, Reverend Paul Bogle led a rebellion at Morant Bay as a way of trying to relieve this oppression and suffering from the black Jamaicans at the time. Anyway, needless to say, the British soldiers at the time killed about 400 of the persons who rebelled. Anyway, so we're not here for all of that, but that's just a snapshot. You should read it, it has great stories. So I really love this book. So fast forward, I went to Bastia Junior High School, which is no longer in existence. It's now Washi, right? On the site of where Washi is, that was where Bastia Junior High School was before you went to Bastia Senior High. So, 1A1 in Bastia Junior High School, we were given a book report. Anybody still do book reports? So you read a book and you write a report about it. So I sat down at the table and just started writing. I didn't even look at the book. Just started writing all about the book, did the book report and everything. So what do you think was my grade for that book report? This lady gave me half on 20. Now for the mathematicians, half on 20 is how much percent?
10.
No. What? Not half of 20, you know. Half over 20. That is 2.5%, correct? Mathematicians? So I did a whole book report and I got 2.5%. Alright? Now imagine if you get that and you have to go home with that to show your parents. Right? No, that's a whole different type of fear, right? I don't know if that's the fear we're talking about, but that was some fear. But let me just say, she said that I plagiarized my report. You know what plagiarize means? Right? You steal like the copy from somebody or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I did it too well. I don't know because I just knew the book, so I don't know what I wrote and so on. Needless to say, I think my parents went to the school and tried to sort it out. I really can't remember now what became of it. But I remember that fear of thinking, how am I going to go home to my mother, who is a teacher, taught at Midtown School, and my father, who was in the army, and I'll talk about him in a little bit. And you know, he's a big man and so on. And I'm going back home. I'm in 1A1, thinking I'm great. As Pastor Connor said, I'm great. Thinking I'm great. And I go home with a book report for 2.5% as the grade. I really can't remember what happened in the end. So, I had some fear there. So we go back to the theme, don't fear the future, shape it. So let's see how that went on. So fast forward, I was about 12 years old. This is my father. His first name is William, but everybody called him Marcus, and I'm Marcus as well. So when I was 12, so it's about a year after the whole book report in second form, my father passed away from kidney cancer. He was only 46 years old. And I have never seen my father sick a day in his life before. Because never seen him sick. He was a soldier, so very, very healthy, muscular guy, and so on. Never seen him sick, and he passed away from kidney cancer. And I think that was the first time genuine sort of fear setting in terms of fear for the future, right? Because that's somebody I grew up with, always there, and so on, my mother and him. So now my thinking is 12 years old, what am I going to do without him? What's the future going to be like without both parents? 3 children, have a brother and sister at home. That's one less person bringing in money into the house. Are we going to go hungry? Then I had relatives talking to me and saying, now you are the man of the house. How do you become the man of the house at 12? Right? What does that mean? Does that mean I have to leave school and go to work? These are the 12 years old, right? So these are the thoughts and the fear that I had. And I must say, during that period and for many years, it was a very tough thing for me to go to because I looked up to him quite a bit. As Pastor Connor said in the intro, I eventually started a scholarship fund in his name and in his memory. And that's how much I love and wanted to emulate him, right? So I wanted to memorialize him in that way so persons wouldn't forget him, I wouldn't forget, other persons wouldn't forget who he was. But, needless to say, I think that changed the trajectory of my future for a little bit because of that fear of the unknown. What would happen now? This person who was always in my life has now disappeared, right? And so I went from, I think I was still bright, but doing well in school to now just not caring about grades and not caring about school and just going through the motions for many, many, many years. And I think that's, that has to do with, again, fear, sadness, and how do you get over that when you're 12 years old. So in 1999, so that's a few years later, kind of gathered myself through the help of a lot of friends, right? Friends and family. Anybody here, you have good friends, right? Who you probably talk to a lot more than maybe even your parents about certain things. So I decided I wanted to do my degree, go off to university to do a degree. Coming to school, I love technical drawing. Anybody love technical drawing? At first I wanted to be an architect. I just love technical drawing, it just came easy. Then I got into computers. Well, you guys know, computers mean nothing, but I feel like I'm old if I said back in the day, but back in the day, computers were just coming on stream, not internet and that sort of thing yet. Just computers, and I was fascinated, like, how does it work? I wanted to be a computer scientist, I'm going to go off to university and so on and do all these things. So, if you look at the map, I went from St. Kitts, let's see if I get my pointer, from St. Kitts all the way to Lawton, Oklahoma. Anybody ever been to Oklahoma? What? 2 people been to Oklahoma? Where you been in Oklahoma? You went to Lawton as well? So you know somebody who goes to school there? Your aunt. Somebody else had up their hands. Who went to Oklahoma? Somebody else. I thought I saw another hand. Okay. So that's about 2,500 miles from St. Kitts. Right? Anybody ever been that far besides my friend? That's 2,500 miles away from St. Kitts. And so again, how do I know what is going to happen there? What's going to happen when I take this trip? Do I take the trip and try to better myself, go to university, or do I just stay back and say, no, I don't want to take that chance, it's too risky or something like that. So I went off to university, and one of the things, when I started to tell people I'm going off to study in Oklahoma, is they mentioned this. This building is the Alfred P. Morrow Federal Building in Oklahoma City. And in 1995, they had a bombing there. Someone drove a truck into the garage, a van, parked it, left, and blew up half of the building. Can't recall how many hundreds of people died, but many persons died. That was like the largest domestic terrorism incident in the US at that time, because it was an American who actually did it, not like 9/11 years later. So everybody was like, how you could be going to Oklahoma where they just had a bombing just a couple of years ago, and you're afraid that something else would happen, right? So, in this whole idea of don't fear the future, sometimes it's not just your own fear, but it also can be persons instilling fear in you, right? So me being told, well, why are you going to, ask, why are you going to Oklahoma where they just had a bombing? I could have used that and become fearful now and say, I'm not going again. But anyway, I did end up going. And I went to this school. This school is Cameron University in Oklahoma, which is also the school where Pastor Connor went. So we both went to this school. It wasn't even this big. I just pulled this picture there 2 days ago. The campus wasn't even this big. This thing on this side, these buildings here weren't even there. So it's kind of grown over the years. And I'm sure Pastor Connor would tell you, if you ever ask him about it, that it was a really good school, and we really had a good experience there. So again, we didn't fear the future, and we went ahead and did what we had to do there. Now, I jumped ahead. Okay, so following Cameron University, I went to the University of Nebraska where I completed my doctoral degree and did all of these all this work to complete the degree and get research done, etc., etc. So there's more uncertainty of the future because at the end of that, the global recession hit when I graduated in 2008. So again, there's that fear. Like, what is going to happen? The instances were, I applied for jobs, and this is in the US, applied for jobs, but then there's a recession. So they laid off like 3,000 people from certain companies. So clearly, if they're laying off people, they're not going to hire. So what do I do? You know, have this lovely degree, what do I do with it? And so I returned home to St. Kitts and Nevis back in 2009, and now I'm here chatting with you, fine young gentlemen. So, several questions. I mean, was it fearless? Was I fearless when I was going through all of these things? No. Right? You have certain types of fear, whether it's going into a test sometimes, you're nervous and you're fearful, or whether it is, in my case, leaving St. Kitts and Nevis to go off to study. So there's always some fear in everything that we do sometimes, right? I mean, who would have thought Oklahoma and Nebraska? I mean, we talk about snow, freezing winters, digging out my car, starting my car, then going back inside just so I could warm up, and those kind of things. Why would I leave St. Kitts and Nevis to go and do that, right? And so the idea is, again, based on the theme, that you really cannot fear the future, but you should really use that to sort of shape what you're going to do. So, how many persons, because I think the age range is 12 to 19, who in here is 12 years old? About 12. Okay. And I heard the pastor previously, is it Jeremy, I think, saying, asking you what do you want to be, and so on. Any of the 12-year-olds, you know what you would like to be in life, what kind of career you would like to have? The 12-year-olds, yes. Oh, this is a young man. I heard you when you said scientist earlier. Good. Anybody else? Yes. A doctor? An actor? Brilliant. I like that. A marine biologist. Wow, that is, you guys have yourself sorted out. A chef? You cook already? Wow. So you guys have some amazing careers laid out. So all of you, even the older ones between 12 to 19, all of you, this is the most important period of your lives. And it is very crucial for you to know what you want to be in life, what you want to do eventually, but it is even more critical for you to really plan for it. And it doesn't matter that you're 12, 14, or 16, or 19, it really doesn't matter. Ultimately, what you do now is going to determine, or can determine, where you go in life and what you do in life. So essentially, you are building the structure of your lives right now. And anybody has seen a building going up, you know, how does a building start? How do you start to plan for a building or structure?
Foundation.
A what?
Foundation.
Before the foundation? A plan, right? So here you must have to go to some sort of good architect. You tell them what kind of structure you want, right? You want a 2-story building, you want a 10-story building, whatever the case is. And they're the ones now who put together a solid plan for you, right? And as you build the structure of your lives, that's what you have to do. It doesn't matter that you're 12 years old. So yes, my friend here wants to be a scientist, my friend here wants to be a chef, but you still have to make that plan. What is the plan to get to that position? My friend who is saying he wants to be the chef, I asked him if he cooks already. He already is cooking. So that means he's already planning and moving towards that way. So you're building the structure of your lives, and that means you must need a plan, as you see here in the diagram. Now, everybody's plan is not the same. Like my story that I just gave briefly is not going to be your story. When you're 12 years old, you may not lose your father or mother or anything like that. You know, your story may be completely different from my story, because all of us walking different paths here in our lives. But the idea is not to not fear, right? Because we can't go through life just fearless at everything, but is to use whatever fear that may come to help us to motivate ourselves and energize ourselves to move towards where we actually want to be. Alright? So I hope that's clear. So we're not up here saying that you shouldn't fear and you should go around thinking, you know, I'm invincible, I'm not scared of anything, I'm not fearful of anything. No. But whenever you have that little fear creeping in, you must use that fear, embrace it, and help use it to motivate you and shape and determine your own destiny, your own success. So you agree with that?
Yes.
Right? So we've all had fear. So again, you guys are building the structure of your lives right now, right? Those of you who are in high school going towards 4th form, 5th form, and so on, you should already have sort of an idea of what you're doing because you have all of these subjects. So for example, if you want to be an architect, you shouldn't be in high school and you have not done technical drawing, for example, and so on, right? All of that is part of planning for the future. If you want to be a medical doctor, you can't be in high school and you haven't done, you're not interested in biology or chemistry, because all of those are things that are foundational if you want to become a medical doctor. So you're not too young to set out specific plans for your life, okay? So I have a bit of an exercise. I don't know how many people have pens and pencils, but we can talk about it. So I'll just ask somebody to help me hand these out. Okay, so we're gonna just do a little exercise because I don't like long speeches and I don't like to be just talking. And I know when I was your age, I didn't like people just standing up talking all the time. So I'm handing out these forms and they're called Looking Back from the Future. So we're going to look back from the future. And we're going to answer. It's just about 4 questions. If you have something to write with, you can write. And we'll start to discuss it a little bit. Okay? Just wait till everybody gets one. Okay, so let's look at the first question. And if you have a pen or a pencil, you can write. Well, let's look at the first question. It says, imagine that you are 90 years old and you want to explain to your grandchild what you achieved in life. What would you say? Who wants to answer that? So you're 90 years old and now you have a grandchild. What would you want to explain to that grandchild what you achieved in life? Yes, sir. Yeah, sure. Stand, speak loud so everybody can hear you.
So I would set up a software company, a square bucket, and then I made billions, and then I put it in and then I made a complex.
And you made what?
A complex.
Wow. Okay. Everybody heard what he said? So he said he would tell his grandchild that started a software company. He's making billions. He made billions of dollars. He ended up buying an island that he then built a complex on the island for his family. So he has some huge aspirations, and I love that. I love that. Anybody else? What would you say for question number 1? Let's get one more person over here. Nobody else has an answer?
Yeah, I'll answer.
Yes.
I want to the country, right? Before I become a billionaire, I start at poor. You can't play before for a while.
Okay.
I tell you, no matter how hard life be, you just keep pushing and eventually you must get there.
Okay, lovely. I like that. Oh, you're gonna pass on mic too? Okay. All right, so he said he would tell his grandchild that, before he became a billionaire, started out poor, and it doesn't matter where you started, right? It's where you end up and how you get there. So I like that. All right, let's look at question number 2. Imagine that you are 90 years old and are reflecting on your life. What regrets do you think you would have? What regrets? What you said?
Dylan, the yellow mic, please.
No regrets?
Yellow mic.
Okay, I like that. My friend right here, he had something to say. Yeah, I heard it. I was a teacher and I hear everything. I heard it. You're not saying it?
No, got it.
I heard you know. So anybody else? What regrets? Somebody said no regrets. They won't have any regrets to tell their grandchild. That's amazing. If you live 90 years and you have no regrets, good. That's good on you. I wish I could be like that. So we're talking about the future. What regrets do you think you may have? No regrets? So all you set out to do, all you plan to do, you think you will get it done? And you won't have anything to do. All right. I leave you to fill in that one. Let's look at number 3. Imagine that somehow you would be given one chance to change something in your life. What would that be? What? Nothing? You wouldn't change anything?
Make myself a billionaire.
How old are you? You're what? You're 17? But this is saying that you're now 90 years old, So Remember, you can't think now we're trying to be in the future and look back. So you're saying you ain't gonna change nothing? You wouldn't change anything in 90 years. Wow. Yes. Sorry? Wait, let me get the mic. Who has the mic? Yeah. Share the mic with me. Right here. It's off. Go ahead, stand up. But stand up, let's hear.
Okay. I was saying I would not change nothing because I would not be myself. Because if I change something about me, that means me and myself not again. I try to be somebody else.
Okay. I like that. I like that answer. Good. All right, let's go. 2 more. So, number 4, if he had hours blank, he would have been perfect. If he had hours blank, he would have been perfect. If this sentence was written about you, remember, think that way in the future, right? Looking back. If this sentence was written about you, what do you think people would put in that blank space? If he was this or that, he would have been perfect. What do you think somebody would put in that space about you? These guys right here, somebody from here, answer number 4, part A. My friend here in the Savage t-shirt. I like that shirt.
If I was a money man, I would be perfect.
If you were a
Money man.
If you are a money man, why is money the theme of all of these answers? That's very interesting. So you think if the sentence would say, if he was a money man, he would have been perfect? That's what you think? Okay. Okay. Interesting. We put a lot of value on money, eh? Okay. Okay, part B of that same question. If he had hours blank, he would have been perfect. If this sentence was written about you, what would you like people to put in the blank space? What would you like people to say? If you were what? You would have been perfect. Yes, sir. Right here. Somebody want me. Stand up so he can see you.
Intelligent.
Okay. I like that. One more. What would you like people to put in that space? If you were this, you would have been perfect. What is it? I can't hear you. Talk in the mic.
If I had no good.
Okay. So, you guys, you don't have to do it now, but I would like you, when you go back home, look at the questions and think about it. Think about yourself in the future, all of the things you would have wanted to achieve, and try to answer the questions. And this is going to help you now along this journey. Remember, we're talking about building the structure of your life, shaping your life. When you look back, as you progress, when you look at this form, keep it safe somewhere. You can use that as a measure of where you are going and if you're achieving what you're trying to achieve, so that when you talk to your grandchild, what you've written there today or tomorrow, tonight, you can then look back at it and say, yes, I've achieved this when you're talking to your grandchild, right? So we'll use it as a little bit of a measure as to where we're going. So we're going to wrap up here quickly, shortly. So I have just some images here of some persons, right? Who is the person on the far left? Yes, that's Marshall Montana. Who is the person in the center? Marcus Garvey. You said Marcus Garvey. Good, good. I like that. So everybody know who Marcus Garvey is?
No.
No.
Recognize them.
But y'all have a lot of homework to do. What are they teaching y'all in school? So Marcus Garvey was a very strong Pan-Africanist, right? Who fought for persons to be free, first of all, and fought for black equality, black enterprise, and the whole move of Africa for the Africans and so on. He was from Jamaica. He came here several times. He visited St. Kitts and Nevis. The MIS hall isn't even there anymore, ain't it? Right? So they wouldn't even be able to visit those places. So he would have spoken at MIS hall, which was on Market Street some years ago. So that's Marcus Garvey on the far left.
Bolt.
You see Bolt. Okay, bottom right. Rest in peace. Kobe. And in the center, Michael Jordan. And then we have LeBron James. King James. Okay. So, anyway, Lakers is my favorite squad. Nobody arguing, nobody saying nothing. Lakers is my squad. So, no, but I place these people up here just as an example of men who have excelled, black men, Caribbean men as well, some of them, and as they have excelled. So you guys, again, building the structure of your lives, and you have aspirations of certain goals and dreams, yes? Now, these guys, and many like them, these guys are 1 in a million, maybe 1 in a billion sometimes, right? People like Kobe and LeBron, these guys, everybody can't be like them. They're born with innate talents, and then they work on these God-given talents that they have. And a lot of times all of us, we look at certain people and we try to aspire to be like them and that sort of thing. Right? And I want to say to you today, there's nothing wrong with aspiring to lofty goals and so on. But like I said, these guys are 1 in a billion. There are many, many great basketball players, for example, who never even sniffed the NBA. Right? So it is great to have these lofty goals, but there must also be sound and strong plans and a strong foundation for you to work towards these things. Like Kobe and LeBron, these guys didn't just get up and be great. And if you've ever seen any documentaries or any stories about these guys, they talk about how when everybody else is sleeping and so on, 3 a.m. they're in the gym putting up shots, right? Machel Montano, he doesn't just come to St. Kitts and go to music festival and jump up on the stage and walk off. These guys spending hours in the studio, spending hours writing music, and so on. And so it is good to aspire to these, to be something great, and so on, and even to want to be like these guys sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that. But without a plan and without hoping to work towards that goal and trying to shape what you really want to be in the future, then you're just wishing, right? Right? A goal without a plan is just a wish. I wish I could be an architect. I wish I could be a software engineer. You must have a sound plan, and we saw the plan and the blueprint, right, for the building last time. So, just in conclusion, I really want to reiterate to you that you have to face the future, right? You can't fear it. No matter what, the future is coming, right? As we sit here, time is ticking along. So that means the future is coming. We can't stop it. None of us could just freeze time and walk around regular while everything is frozen. Time marches on. So we really can't fear the future. So I want to leave with you, and this is my only slide with words because I really want to, with excess words at least, I really want you to take home this message with you. And one, don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. I really want you to remember that. Right? Can you read the second and third sentence after that for me together? From about or from always? Mhm. And that's important because you may run into a lot of people who kind of put doubt into your mind, right? That you're not good, you might get a 50% on a test, or like me, you get half on 20 for your book report, right? And that could set in some doubt. But always know that you count and your life has meaning, your life has significance. It is not to be just tossed aside. Secondly, once you decide what you want to do in life and what your life's work will be, set out to do it and do it well. In one of Dr. Martin Luther King's speeches, he talked about this, where he said, if you're going to be a drain sweeper, be the best drain sweeper that there ever was. So that people, when you have died and gone on, they can say, you know what, there existed the best drain sweeper I've ever seen. And what he was trying to say is that whatever you're doing, you set out to do it and do it well. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's an office job, whether you're running blocks, make sure you run blocks better than anybody else could run blocks. Whatever you do in life, set out to do it and do it well. Thirdly, no matter how young you are, you have a responsibility to seek to make your nation a better country in which to live. And that's on all of us, right? It doesn't mean you have to run for political office. It doesn't mean that you have to be a pastor of a wonderful church like this. But in our life, every day we can do little things that can make the country better. It could be as simple as you're walking home and you reach home and in your drain, you see a plastic bottle. And you don't step over the plastic bottle, but you take it up and put it in the garbage. That is an act that is making the country better, even as small as it is. Fourth, you have a responsibility to seek to make life better for everybody. For everybody. So anybody you come across, you have to try to leave something that makes their life even better. And you can do it no matter how young you are. And lastly, and this is something I try to do personally every day, is to be better than I was yesterday. Alright? And we can all do that. So I'm going to admonish you, encourage you to work every day to be better than you were the day before. You think you could do that? Yeah. Try to be better than you were the day before. And if you kind of live with that mantra and push that notion of trying to be better, no matter what, and try to be better than you were yesterday, you can only grow, you can only achieve, and that fear that you may have had of the future or the uncertainty of the unknown, all of that will go away. So again, guys, as the theme says, don't fear the future, shape it, but you can't shape the future unless you have a plan. So work towards that and continue to just be better no matter what. Thank you very much.